From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada will meet its NATO defense spending targets in 2032, 8 years from now. Allies have agreed to spend at least 2% of GDP on defense, but Canada has never met the target or had a plan to get there. Trudeau says it might be possible to do creative accounting to boost the spending total, but he questioned if that's the right approach.
Would that make Canada safer? Would that make Canadians better off? Would that make us better able to counter the malign influence of Russia?
Trudeau didn't provide specific details about how much money this will cost or how it will be spent. A Winnipeg man has been convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder involving Indigenous women.
Defense lawyers had argued Jeremy Skibitsky should be found not criminally responsible and said he was suffering from schizophrenia at the time of the slayings. But Crown prosecutors said he had the mental capacity and awareness to commit and cover up the killings. The trial heard Skibitsky targeted the women at homeless shelters, strangled or drowned them, and then disposed of the remains in garbage bins. A first-degree murder verdict carries an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Steve Lambert, The Canadian Press, Winnipeg.
The daughter of one of 4 victims says she's glad the court has taken the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls more seriously. Cambria Harris spoke to reporters at the Assembly of First Nations meeting in Montreal after Skibitsky was convicted of killing her mother, Morgan Harris. She says the family got its justice, with the judge saying loudly and clearly that the murders were racially driven. The Assembly of First Nations National Chief says a deal has been finalized with Ottawa for the federal government to put $47.8 billion towards reforming the child welfare system. Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak says the funding will start the process of righting the wrongs of the past.
There has been so much pain and hurt and harm caused by this racist child welfare policy in every one of our First Nations communities and our families.
The deal is worth more than double what it was originally promised in a settlement agreement that stemmed from a human rights complaint over underfunding child welfare services. Activists and observers are wondering what comes next for pro-Palestinian protests in Canada, as encampments on university campuses across the country are shutting down. A Concordia University professor who supported the McGill University encampment in Montreal says he expects more direct action from protesters.
It might be the end of encampments for now, but there will be other ways of trying to hold institutions to account. There's no doubt.
A University of Ottawa law professor says the question is now what will happen in September when students return to campus. And Canadian singer Nelly Furtado's long-awaited 7th studio album is set to be released on September 20th. The Canadian pop hitmaker has appropriately named it 7. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Montreal Alouettes will put their perfect 5-0 record on the line as they host the Toronto Argonauts in CFL action tonight. The defending Grey Cup champions are looking to extend their unbeaten streak to 14 games, dating back to last season. The Argos are looking to bounce back from consecutive losses. Meanwhile, world number 1 Jannik Sinner will return to the National Bank Open this summer to defend his Canadian title. Sinner headlined the ATP Tour field announced by Tennis Canada this morning. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment has parted ways with Bill Manning, president of Toronto FC and the Toronto Argonauts. MLSE says Manning's exit was a mutual decision. Toronto FC is sliding down Major League Soccer's Eastern Conference standings, having lost 6 straight in league play and is winless in 9. And Corey Connors of Listowel, Ontario, and Nick Taylor of Abbotsford, BC, are tied for 8th at 5 under 65 in the Scottish Open. They'll both represent Canada at the upcoming Olympics. From the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.